from Simple Picks in the studio with me again. How's it going, Adib?
Good, David. Thanks again for having me.
I'm always happy to have you. It's always a good show when you're on here. All right.
Yes, sir.
So, as usual, we're talking about stocks. There's been some wild stuff, especially in the EV space in the past few days. We'll get to that. First, let's open up. Let's talk about SPY. Let's just see how is you know the S&P done today. Let's just see
Absolutely.
what
Let's
we
pull
get.
that up. The markets are undergoing an
All right. I don't know if that's you
absolute
or me today. One of us is having challenges.
bloodbath right now. Quite a all right. So, yeah, definitely the weeks have been, or sorry, this last week's been a bloodbath. Let me pull up our chart here and take a quick look. As you may recall, David, last week we had missed the show, so we
Right.
we did not go live, you and I. But I would like to reiterate and recall that on the previous week on your show, which was Friday, the 5th of April, I had notified that the market was a short at 5,200 or 5,300 on the S&P, which on the SPY is 520, 530, just for a shortcut. We put out our play right here, the SPY 412, 515 put. As you can see, the market got bombed at 520. We cut the whole play, particularly, and we caught it again at another short. I had mentioned, after your show, which was Friday, that if it does come near 520 again, that's when you want to get in and short the stock market. And lo and behold, David, it's all come true.
Yeah, I watched it in your Discord.
Market's down over. Yes, sir. Well, it's down. It's down over 250 points since then, right? So at 495 from 520, that's 250 points. That's significant drop. That's probably the largest drop of the year that's occurred in this sequence. Some of it was attributed to some geopolitical events in the Middle East. So there was some tensions between Iran and Israel, and that was one of the attributor yesterday. But I'll be honest with you, David. When we look at technicals, they tell us a story sometimes much ahead of what the news are going to tell us. And this was a perfect play out. The story was it's a short. And I said that if it ever goes to 530, I'd probably double down on my short. You can tune into the episode of last week. And here we are. Nothing, no drawdown on this particular play. So where do I see the stock market going? Excuse me. I do believe there's more pain. And we're going to just come down here to the zero point 0.5 fib level, of which was kind of, I'd say, tested back in January of 2024. So just about 3.5 months ago. This would be my first target here, 482 to 486. I'd probably start nibbling around there if I really want to go long. But this is not a helpful candle here. Look at that. All the gains that happened over the last 2.5 months completely wiped out in just 2 weeks. So definitely a scary sight. We obviously continue to watch the formation and sequence. Obviously, the stock market's still bullish. It's near all-time highs. I'm not a pessimist, but I'm reading the charts, and as of right now, we are short or a bearish bias. So no, I don't see any upside right now. I just see downside.
Any thoughts on how low you think it might go here?
Yeah, like I said, 482 to 483, maybe 486. In a worst case scenario, we might capitulate down to 450, where it could be
Hmm.
like some war type of event or geopolitical tension. But that's about it. I think around the summertime, we'll hit the 450, 460 mark, float up, and continue trading higher. In my opinion, I don't think there's a crash that's going to come. I think there's just a major correction here.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's move on. I've got Dell as my next one on the list. I don't think I'm really running these in order, or I'm in the order I have them on in the title. I'm not running them in the order we probably should have ran them in, but we'll go ahead and do Dell because we looked at this one
No
first about a
problem.
month ago. And then we had a 17% spike after we looked at it, and then it came back down a bit.
Yes, it did. When we looked at it, it was around 110 or 112. I think it was just around this area. You're right. We gave our opinion that we think it's a good long, and that went up. You're right, 17%. But if you recall on your last show, I said that that's probably it. It has a bullish formation, but the play is over. So I don't really buy anything near its all-time highs. Dell was near its all-time high. As you can see, that same week they sold it back down. This week, yeah, again, probably attributed to the market conditions, sold back down again. So where do I see Dell going? Probably a good buy at around 107. I mean, if you're bullish on this market and you continue to see the benefit and value in these type of stocks like Dell, I would start a position around 107 here. This is a decent area, and I would hold that position all the way down to as low as $80 for this long. If you recall on the last show that we had discussed, there was a gap up here and it continued going up with strength. So this gap up actually created a trading range over here. But what happened again was another gap up occurred here in February of 2024, which again created another trading range here. Obviously, this trading range proved to be way too much overextension. So the next trading range now is here, which is the 107 range. And if that fails, the last trading range is down here in the initial uptick, which is as low as $80. So, where do I see the stock going? Probably a little bit lower, but you could start a position here around the $100 mark.
So you think if I were looking to hold it long, that if I got into it at $100, it'd be kind of the right price to look for to buy some?
Yeah, $100 is a fair average price. Absolutely.
So it's still overpriced where it is. We had a good spike up. The thing is, look at this, because we're going to review a couple of other stocks like NVIDIA and SMC later. We're not to those yet, but I really feel that it's got a lot of the same potential because they're just as big or bigger in the server market than like SMCI. But we'll get to those a little bit further on in the show. Our next stock in order is Tesla. And Tesla's had wild news in the past week. So we had the 10% layoffs. Yeah, we had the big layoffs.
Very disappointing, David. So
slower sales in Europe.
Yep. And
the thing that I have a hard time with. Well, the thing I have a hard time with is they do have 2 of the 10 best-selling cars in the world, the Model 3 and the Model Y. You figure they're not a very old car maker. They've only really been putting cars into the market since 2012. And for them to have the #1 selling car in the world, and they also have the #9. And it's just fascinating that, they're having some drawbacks. I've also seen where they're stockpiling they're like hoarding batteries. So they're buying droves of batteries. And a lot of it is because they have this new robo-taxi getting close to coming to market. And
well, see, the robo-taxi, the last time that we were on your show, was the reason that their stock was saved. I don't know if you remember. It was a Friday show that we did 2 weeks ago. And I said, look, David, it looks like it wants to bounce back here. And if you recall, it was up like 3% or 4% after market on that robo-taxi news. That was just white noise. Unfortunately, no materialization. All kinds of terrible, terrible news hit Tesla this week. As you say, the layoffs, excuse me, let me just turn that off. The layoffs, the downgrades by investment banks. I know that they got downgraded by multiple analysts today or yesterday even. And also Elon Musk's whole compensation thing. He was to be paid a certain compensation based on a certain market price. And I think there's some political play going on here to really drive this stock down. Obviously, the market turmoil doesn't help either. Like everything is down. You can't really attribute it to like one particular stock misperforming. But Tesla is disappointing because this is the buy zone for Tesla. We identified this like a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago, a month and a half ago. We identified this buy zone. And we honestly, we even might have said this three months ago when we first started covering the stock, that 150 is really the area I'd like to get in. It's now here. I'm not liking where it is, so I'm not in right now. It breached below the 152 to 160 zone, which I would have taken as a buy zone for myself. So right now I'm just watching. It's really breaching the downside here. As you can see, the weekly chart has broken the downtrend and is really like stock by like diving right now.
Okay.
The worst case scenario that can happen, like if you look at this trading range, look how big this trading range is. You know, this is almost 5-year trading range. If it breaks $132 and continues down, that 5-year trading range is now broken on a weekly chart, which is terrible. That is such danger for the stock. I don't even know how to react. I would just leave it be. I wouldn't touch this stock. So where do I think is going to happen? I think the Tesla bulls are going to step up. I think the Tesla bulls are going to probably come in anytime between the 133 to 150 range and probably pull this thing back up. And if they don't, hallelujah, it's over. I wouldn't touch this stock for a long time until I see it decisively breaking above 150. I don't see any upside there.
I suspect we'll see ARK and some other outfits like that come back in and buy big again while the price is low.
Yeah, she bought yesterday. She bought like I don't know how many shares she bought yesterday, but she bought a lot of shares yesterday. I saw a headline.
Yeah, so that doesn't surprise me at all. Well, we'll see where it goes. You know, the weird thing about it is
she bought $26 million worth of Tesla stock yesterday.
So in terms of per car sold profitability, Tesla is number 2 in the world in terms of how much profit they make per car they sell. And the number 1 is an odd one. Do you know which one it is? It's not who you'd think. It's an Italian company.
Neo? No.
It's an Italian company.
The only one I know is Alfa Romero. I don't know any other.
Think more expensive. Think more expensive.
Italian
I don't know
car
if you.
makers?
Yeah, it's Ferrari. Ferrari makes over $100,000 profit per car. Yeah. And Tesla's number 2. They average $7,600 profit per car. They're one of, and what I find is none of the other car makers are even close. Now, there's several that make profit on every car they sell. There's in the EV space, there's only 4. There's only 4 that make profit for every car, but it's kind of wild that they're far and away. And so I always find it fascinating. But the problem is, as Musk says, people are trying to value them as a car company right now. And when Robotaxi comes out, they'll go back to valuing as a tech company again. And so who's to say, who's to say where that'll go? But for right now on the technicals, you just got to go with that, right? So anyways,
right now, this is a no man's zone, David. You don't want to buy Tesla here. Actually, I was on a finance show yesterday, Finance Daily on Twitter, and I was speaking to one of the other panelists, and they're all capitulating. They're like, yeah, we just sold our Tesla stock at 150. Like, we don't see any hope, so
wow.
When I see fundamental guys and portfolio managers saying that they're capitulating, I think one of two things. It's either really in danger and my chart's telling me to run away, or we're going to get readjusted here in this downtrend on the weekly, and we're going to get buyers to step in probably around here, just a little below the other buy zone, which by the way, successfully caught. Whenever we bought Tesla, we made money on it. So we were successfully able to enter and exit. Unfortunately, the trend just didn't stick. So here we are again below $134. I probably will just forget about Tesla. I won't really cover it much more because it's going down in the gutter. So it's a big week next week for Tesla, and I believe it's going to rebound. In my opinion, I believe the bulls are going to step in. If they don't, what a catastrophe for a $500 billion stock. That is catastrophe.
No question. All right. Hey, and folks who are listening live, if you have questions or like us to review something,
put a super line in the sand at $134.
Yeah, and folks, if you're listening, because we got lots of viewers right
Yeah.
now, feel free to leave us a question, and we'll get to it just as quickly as we can. I believe I see the Twitter comments I've seen, but it's I don't know how quickly they come in like they do on some of their channels we're on. Anyways, let's go on and move on to Rivian,
Right.
RIVN. And this is another one that's been going through a bit of a bloodbath.
Man, oh man, they're killing it. I mean,
Eh,
when we looked at Rivian, I had a big line in the sand for you at $15. If you recall, that was back in
right.
February. That got destroyed, taken out entirely. I put another line in the sand at $10. That got destroyed, taken out entirely. So you know what? I mean, I mean, look at this chart. It's it's lower than it's ever been.
You know
If
what's
this
really
isn't capitulation, I don't know what else. What is?
You
I
caught
mean, look,
that December run up
huh?
on our show. You gave an option play back in
Yes, we did.
December. It
Yes, we did.
ran up to like $26.
Yes, we did.
And here it is at
Yep,
eight.
that
And
was
you
just crazy.
said get out. It was a really good
Yeah,
play.
look at how sad.
And I mean, how does it
Yeah,
go from that to this in 3 months,
I'm
four
telling you,
months?
we like literally back in December, we get in at 17, we get out at 24. Right now, we're at a third of that. That's down 80%, 75% or something like that. I could. Uh,
Yeah. And at the time
so
you made that play, I saw
let's get
several other analysts saying, hey, Rivian's going to go to like 25, $30 this year. No, I think they were saying $34 this year.
that's like that's like a 70%
Quadruple.
decline. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean
Since where
nuts.
we exited. I am telling you, David, this is the bottom. But I don't know if I'm going to be right or not. I mean, it's not looking very good for all these stocks. Their daily charts tell me they want to reverse. Their weekly charts tell me they don't, and I obviously have to listen to the weekly because it gives me a better idea and a better picture. I really thought that Rivian with this breakout would actually kind of go to another, back into the higher zones. But nope. Once we sold, cracked back down, line in the sand at $15, also cracked down. And you can see how decisive these sells have been. So I just want our audience to notice, like, yes, we didn't action any play on this, but if you see how decisive that these drops are happening below the zones that we're notifying to you guys, you got to just take this and kind of run with it to help you be able to make your decisions on these stocks. Now, again, 2 weeks ago, this is probably the first week I've been a little wrong on these EV ones, Rivian and Tesla, because their bottoms haven't held out. $10 hasn't held, 152 hasn't held. So does that give me signs of some danger? Yes, there is danger. I wouldn't buy Rivian here. I will give a disclaimer. I made a lottery type of play on Rivian for a few of my followers and myself, and it was a $12 call for Rivian, and that was, I believe, May 2nd, and I'll write that down. It's still active, guys. We put our money where our mouth is, so whether it's up or down, I'm going to notice it or notify it. This would be the first play we lose that's been announced live on air, if it does lose. Right now, it's still in the play. But all the other plays, a couple of 100% on the minimum. So you should be okay if you followed us so far. But the play is May 2nd, I believe, $12 call. And that was we bought it for, I believe, 0.25 cents. So that is $25 per call. Right now, it's, I think, at 5 cents per call. So $5 per call. So it's down 75%. Obviously, when I had bought it, I'll show you guys where we got in. We got in around here, not $10, because we were obviously, following our thesis. And it went up to $10. I think it went up to, no, we got it around here. Sorry, $10. It went up to $10.61, and then just crapped itself, unfortunately. So Here's again another nibble that I think will run up to earnings to about $12. I still think in the next 12 days or however many days we have till this expiry, it is going to come back up there just based on the technical readings that I can see here. But again, I can't control geopolitical events and I can't control, market tensions. These things are completely out
Right.
of everybody's control. So take it with a grain of salt, guys. This was, when you buy a $25 call, it's a lottery to begin with. Okay. It's not a call that has a very high probability because it's so out of the money and it's cheap. You can spend a couple of $100 and get really good leverage on here that if it does go to $12, you're going to make maybe $1,000, which will be 200-300% your entry price. That's just a very, very basic level. So yeah, this is what we call lotto, and this is kind of like our fun money. I took this call. I'm still holding it. It's $5. I'm expecting it to go to zero. If it goes to zero, great. If it doesn't go to zero and hits our $12 prediction, then big money for us. That's when I say big money, it's just doubling or tripling its size. So Rivian, I'm losing hope, man. I'm losing hope, and I can't. Again, it's never been lower than this. This is the lowest it's ever been. Just look at this chart. All the shareholders are wiped out. If you bought this stock at $121, you're down like 98%. If you bought this stock as of most recent when we got into it and bought it and sold it, you're down 70%. So, I mean, it's a little bit bigger than just us playing this. This is just the market's punishing this stock. It does not like it.
We had a comment. Tesla is planning to start manufacturing in India. Do you think that's going to impact Tesla's stock price? There's scheduled to be a $3 billion investment announcement next week, but people have already know about it because Musk went over to India a month ago and met with Mahindra.
Well, David, it seems like that might be the catalyst to save that stock. Right?
Yeah,
So
we'll see.
every time look, I like India, man. I'm very bullish on India. So where they have a ton of accessibility to manufacturing, to raw materials, to cheaper labor, all kinds of benefits for manufacturing companies that want to put out cars and stuff. Obviously, the biggest concern for me is quality control. So you want to make sure that obviously, like you're getting good production out of the cheap labor, and make sure that it's all upholding to the global standards that Tesla assembles their cars with. As long as that holds, I'm very bullish for Tesla in India. I think it's a good idea.
Okay. All right. Why don't we go ahead and move on to Lucid?
All right. That one's also down too. I started a long-term position on Lucid, and I got no problem buying down here, David. It's been pretty controlled of a drop. So the last week was right here. Or no, that was this week right here. It was between $2.90 all the way down to $2.50. It ended up settling as high as $2.80 the last week, and again as low as $2.50. This week it got up as high as $2.60, and now as low as $2.35. So again, lower lows are happening, unfortunately. The lines in the sand have all been broken. It's all following the same suit. So typically, like when a technical analysis breaks down and it's not valid anymore, you want to be careful because that means your plans aren't working out. And it means that you want to eliminate your thesis and turn to what the market's going to tell you. And right now, the market's signaling downside. It's signaling weakness. But again, this is not attributed to the electric vehicle market. And unfortunately, the electric vehicle market is getting some backlash, some backlash out of this. Some they call it, downside sympathy. But I believe it'll also get upside sympathy when the market kind of jerks back up. When is that going to happen? I don't see any hope until 486. So there might be a little bit more pain for us here in the EV world, David. But hopefully, they all bounce back around these levels. So I bought a little bit of Lucid a few weeks ago at around 270. And I'm willing to continue buying Lucid. I think they're a good company, and I'm just looking at them more fundamentally. Again, I don't have any action on any plays right now. It's just not the time. But if I was to make a play for Lucid, again, like I'm sticking by my guns. I believe that $5 quite easily. At the very minimum $4. It just needs to break out of this downtrend here. And it hasn't happened. When we entered it a couple of times on your show, it did. If you recall, I bought it around here. It went up to 520. Right. It almost moved up like 60% the whole stock. We got out there. But again, look, it got rejected at this downtrend. You see this original downtrend? Still rejected.
Yes.
It came back down to 260. I kind of said, hey, it's time to buy it. It went back up to $4. So here's it back again, 250. I'm saying, hey, guys, it's time to buy it. Hopefully, it follows suit and breaks completely out of this downtrend and just goes up. That's what we're looking for. Right? So right now, it's not happening, but it's so tight that I wouldn't take.
The big thing I always say is your worst case scenario with Lucid is that the Saudis take it private.
Exactly.
That would be like your worst place. Right, and then you get a nice buyout. Yeah. So I don't think that's honestly, a bad scenario.
Look, David, Lucid has the perfect scenario right now for a breakout based on my analysis. Like again, I'm bullish on this. This is the only one that I can say as an equity play. I'm bullish on it just because it's so cheap, right? And it's like, how much low is it going to go? And I don't think they'll let it go to the pennies. So I'm going to buy. I'm going to continue to buy this particular stock. That's just my own opinion. Disclaimer, anywhere between, I don't know if I wrote anything on this bigger chart. Maybe it was on another chart that I wrote it, but anywhere between, $1.50 to $3, I'm interested.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next stock. Today it's SMCI. So we're moving to an AI stock. Oh, and it's taken a beating.
It's down a lot. Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, buddy, we caught the top. Look at that. You asked me where it's going to go. I said down, down, down. Here it is, guys. I don't have to say anything. So where do I think it's going to go? It's going to continue going down. And like I said, it's probably going to settle at the 600s. And here it is. I mean, what a monster short. Just last week when we were on your show, I said, David, this is probably the opportunity short here at 1150, if you recall. Here it is, 1150, down $300, guys, since our call. So take this again with a grain of salt. But if you tune in week over week, just start to take advantage of these plays, guys. That is down 40%. No, it's not. That is down 40% since this level. That is a huge move, guys, to the downside. You could have made a fortune with puts on this. And I believe we put out a call for $1,100 puts, if you recall.
We did.
So, we did. Yeah. Where is it going? Probably 600.
Yes, we did. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting to see how that change has happened in the AI stocks. And I'm wondering what the catalyst has been, because it's not like there's been bad news. Yep. The worst news I've seen in AI is
it's not bad news. Like I said.
You think it's just been the overall economy and what's going on in the Middle East?
It's just the overall. It's geopolitical event. It's overbought again, David. When something goes up 400% in a matter of 2 months, it's time to take some profits.
Right. Always good. Best to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see what we got next.
I always take my profits, David.
So we see how this is looking. So next we get to, and this is kind of similar to how Dell kind of did there for a little bit. Dell kind of started to catch that trend and then caught the trend back to where it had been. Let's look at, I bet NVIDIA is going to look the same. Let's look at NVIDIA next.
NVIDIA, hey, I put a short on NVIDIA at 950, David. And where is it at? 920 to 950 put option. Where are we at today, guys? I need some flowers.
760.
I need some flowers.
760. There you go. Yeah, that's a big one there. Back down to 760.
Yeah, I mean, they all look like the Nasdaq and the S&P, right? And I said this before. When you're trading NVIDIA, a $2 trillion stock. I mean, today it's what, Today it's 1.9 trillion. So when you're trading a $2 trillion stock, it's going to follow the indexes. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what's happening.
Nice. Let's see. All right, so not much to do on that one. Let's look
No,
at
I would just
ISRG.
run away. ISRG. Yeah, how are they doing? Oh boy. Hey, this is the time to buy ISRG, guys. Look, it's coming into our buy zone. So, I mean, if you want to start a long position in ISRG, this is your opportunity. That's all I'm going to say. Am I very bullish on the stock? I absolutely am. Would I buy anywhere between 267 to 365? Yes, I would. Is that a big range? Yes, absolutely it is. So, sorry.
Would you prefer buying shares or going in on a leap?
No, I would buy shares for this one. It's a lot slower of a mover because of its positioning, I believe, than like some of the other tech stocks. So you're talking a whole 35% of buying, meaning anywhere between 265 all the way up to, well, I wouldn't buy it there. Sorry. Let's scroll down here. Perfect. So anywhere between, a 26% range, anywhere between 265 to 365, I would be buying the stock. And honestly, it looks really good. Like even though today even though this month they're down $40, which is roughly about 10%, that's just again attributed to the market in my opinion. I don't think it's just particular weakness in the stock. So I like ISRG, and I would buy ISRG buy between 265 to 365.
Would you feel good about selling
Long-term
puts on
play.
this? Selling puts on this
Selling
for the
puts on
entry?
this. Yeah, you could sell. I mean, you could sell puts that are in the 285 range and below, and you'd be, I think, in my opinion, safe.
Yeah, because
Just
then if I
because
bought at that price, I'd be in a good spot.
yeah, exactly. And if you collect the premium in the meantime, then you're good. You could also do like the opposite of like a covered call. So you could essentially do a covered put. So you could buy the stock, and you can then also write puts against it. So while it's going down, you're actually collecting premium, but technically like you could hold, like you could be risk free on your position, not risk free, hedged on your position. And as it goes down, you're collecting more premium. The more premium you collect, hopefully it doesn't go below where your put is written. You can then, and then hopefully it expires. You take that money and you buy an average down in the stock that, let's just say, you might have started a position in like today. So that's one option. I like to be very precise. So I'm gonna watch this 360 zone. If this breaches, I'm gonna start to say my buy zone 300 range. I think that's a really nice range to buy this stock.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's a good one to get a play into. Let's see.
Yeah.
What do we want to look at next? Oh, I've got Greenland on the list again today. So let's look at
I know
G-Tech.
you do. I know you do.
I
Oh boy.
I deleted it a couple of weeks ago, and I put it back.
My friend is not able to survive above that line in the sand here. So they have broken the trading range, unfortunately. I don't know what to say about this one, David. It needs news, man. It needs news. It needs volume. There's no volume on this stock. I mean, there's 50K volume today. That's a little bit more than average, but the stock is capitalized at $22 million. I mean, very, very difficult to buy a stock that's $22 million. There's just nothing there. So
No, I get it.
do I think Greenland will survive? Yes, I do. I think they'll probably pull out above this decline here. Again, look, I mean, you see all these lines I draw? Look at how they gap down below them. I mean, like these are decisive moves. And you see, once these lines get breached, it's difficult to come back up above it. So Yeah, I mean, I got nothing to say right now about green tech. It is in a little bit of a pain situation, and I think all it needs is a catalyst and some volume.
Okay.
This stock is more fundamentally traded. It's more news related. It's not really like a technically traded stock. There's just no volume. There's nothing that goes in it.
All right, let's do what is it? C3. That's the stock is just AI. Sitting at $20 right now.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Look, so that got destroyed on this long idea right here. See, and again, as I have an action display, I just give these as an opinion on your show, but
Right.
this is the buy zone. So if this stock does not survive here, shit, man. I mean, that's about the bottom. This is where you want to buy. So I am
$20?
actually going to now watch AI. Yep, I'm gonna put it on my. I'm gonna add it on my stocks watch list here that I cover with your stocks, and I gotta rename this. It's called currency for some reason, but I will name it David EV World. So, yeah, AI, I will cover it now because this is my buy zone. So I stick to my rules. And if you recall, we told your audience back in February to buy this at $26. It shot up to $38 almost a few days later, David. So, we did a good job there. Here we are again. We said the long idea is anywhere between 23 to 26. Here it is, 23 to 26, but it's at 20. So I see that there's a discount. And this is why I'm interested now. I'm going to start to cover this stock. It probably a very, very tight stop loss on this. So to give a play to everybody next week, I think I want to see the moving averages here be kind of tapped and kind of moved above. So what am I going to action here? I'm going to make an action of another play. Let me just make a bigger chart. So I'm not going to remove what we say. Like I said, I'll always stick to my guns. Today's April 19.
Correct.
Long between 20 to 26. And stop loss probably at around $18. So this is again, $18 is probably even letting it breathe a little bit more. But like if I was being like really, really like hard about trading the stock, I would not hold the stock below like $19 in a bit. So again, this is a terrible spot for this stock right now. Absolutely freaking terrible. That's why I'm in turmoil. I would probably potentially look to pick up some AI, maybe do a call option. I'd probably do the $24 call. So I would buy, I can't give you guys the pricing on it right now. Markets are not live, but I would buy, probably $24 call option. 2 to 3 weeks expiry. That's what I would look at. Okay. So very disappointing, since 38, where we saw it top out all the way down to 20. Again, that is unfortunately, that is a 45% decline. Stocks are not doing good. But I don't have any positions. And that's the beauty part, is that if you're a trader and you foresee a short on the S&P 500 from a mile away and you announce it to the audience and you stay the hell away from the market and you just short it, you're okay. So you follow your rules. These are our rules.
Yeah, and so listeners know on this show, since it's mainly about electric vehicles and green energy, we mostly stick to the EV related stocks, and we also do a little bit with some AI stocks, and we also occasionally cover a little bit of crypto. So we did SPY right off the bat. So if you're new to the show, those are generally the sectors that we're looking at. Doesn't always mean they're rosy. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they aren't. And we just got to take the good with the bad. But one thing I like about having Adib on here, even if it's running down, he'll often pick us a play going to the downside as well. But we also are looking, in those cases, we're usually looking at
Yeah.
doing puts. So, anyways, next we're going to do a couple cryptos. We're going to look at BTC today, because it's okay to talk about BTC at your with your in-laws again.
All right. I'm having a little bit of.
Ever since it's been above
I
sixty
got
thousand
to wire
dollars
my
again.
connections and.
Yeah, I know you've
Yeah.
had some struggle there. We'll get that fixed. It's a matter of time.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, Bitcoin is bottomed out on the weekly chart here, so I believe that what's happened is, I'm very vocal about Bitcoin. I went long on Bitcoin at the start of this bull trend here at around $34,000, just around here. We cut the whole move up. I sold around 63,000, so just about here. I missed out on a little bit of this, influx reaction. And here we are today. I believe yesterday there was a huge test of liquidity that occurred, and it dropped crypto all the way down to 59,700. That was with the geopolitical events between Iran and Israel. It didn't really breach the uptrend zone. And as you can see, the bulls have bought it back up. There's still 2 more days in the week until the week ends, because crypto trades 24/7. So, I mean, honestly, I think that it's probably going to rebound here and potentially kind of move a little higher. So I'm bullish on Bitcoin. Until I see Bitcoin break 59,000, I won't really sound any alarms. And if I do see 53,000 broken, then probably you want to walk away from Bitcoin. But anything above 53K is pretty safe in my opinion. And right now it's being resilient. I think it will reverse and kind of go down to the downside, maybe 59K again. But right now it's being resilient. So I got nothing but bullishness for Bitcoin.
Okay, all right. You have any thoughts about where it could go right now in the next couple of months?
Next couple of
No
months,
speculation. Yeah, if you went on a longer chart.
I don't really want to speculate, but I'll tell you one thing. I think that the Bitcoin halving is tomorrow. When that occurs, I think there'll be a dip all the way down to 58 or 59K, maybe as low as 53K,
Oh
and then
wow.
we're going to begin our ascend higher. Yeah, and
So
then
you think
once
there
we
might
begin
be an
our ascend
opportunity
higher, I
to?
think we can go.
You think there's a good opportunity for an
Yeah,
entry tomorrow? Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, I exited at 63. I'm watching right now. I bought a couple of altcoins and announced them to a couple of my followers. And that's really what I'm doing right now, just a couple of altcoins. But I did that, in the last couple of weeks, and I bought very starter positions for this very reason, that when things go on sale, you want to slowly start to add to them. But I think we're in a bull market for Bitcoin, and there's no reason to suspect that it's going to be a bear, sequence over the next 6 months. I think we're going to go higher. How high? I think we could probably settle in the 85 to $90,000 range. On my Twitter profile, I said 3 weeks ago or a month ago when I sold Bitcoin at 63 that I see continuation up to 90. So I'd like to see it go up there, to be very honest with you. Is it gonna? I can't really predict. Right now, I'm just watching the 59 zone. I just want to make sure Bitcoin stays above 59K.
Okay. All right. And I realize Ethereum's probably going to be similar, but let's look at ETH.
Quite similar. Ethereum is probably, yeah, Ethereum is quite similar. After taking advantage of Ethereum, I think we had bought it just a little bit above the bull run here. I think it was around 2,400 we bought it, or 2,300 we bought it. Rode it all the way up to 3,700 or 3,800, I believe. There was a major liquidity test here, so I realized, okay, things are about to slow down. This was back in March of 24, and that's around the same time I sold my Bitcoin. I was selling my Ethereum. I made another re-entry on Ethereum at 3,000, 3,100. It went up all the way again to 3,700. That was announced publicly on my channel. I took profit at 3,600, and I've been watching ever since, David. So did I re-enter here at 3K? No. Do I think that this is again probably another short-term bottom for Ethereum? Yeah, probably. So this is a very good buy zone right here. This, in my opinion, is a very good buy zone. Anything above 2,800 is a good buy zone. Anything below 2,800 on Ethereum, you'd probably want to be careful. That's just my opinion. So
So,
it's like a limbo place right now. I'm not in. I'm not in. I'm just watching.
so you're not a U.S. citizen, and you're able to trade some of the things that we Americans aren't able to trade. So you're able to do crypto
Right.
futures and some things like that. In the United States, we now have these various Bitcoin ETFs. There's Ethereum ETFs. Is there anything you've been following?
I
You
have not
followed
been
any of them?
following. I have not been following them,
Okay.
David. I unfortunately haven't had the time to.
Yeah, I was just curious if you had any thoughts
I
in
usually
that
look at the
space
market.
because
I usually look at the market itself, and I just like this. I just like the original. I don't like synthetic vehicles, but I'll tell you, MSTR. MSTR is like the what's his name? I forgot his name. Sailor, Michael Sailor.
yeah, Michael Saylor. Hmm.
Um, you know, yeah. Um, you know,
Where's the
his
oh
stock is
there?
down. You know, from $2,000 all the way down to 1,100. Right, so that's about a 50% drop.
But that's not really based on their
In a matter
Bitcoin
of
holdings, though.
I
They're
don't
in
know. I
other
don't follow
spaces.
the stock too much.
So they're into servers and networking technology and things like that, hosted solutions, and they just happen to like to put their cash and hold it in Bitcoin. So I don't know that
Right,
Bitcoin's
right.
really affecting the value of their stock. It's just that Michael Saylor just happens to really like Bitcoin, and he likes going in the news and talking about it. And it's probably what he's best known
Hmm.
for.
Yep,
Oh,
yep, yep. No, I totally agree. I just look at it like kind of like this is like my stock market contrarian type of view. When I look at MSTR, I kind of just see, okay, like, this is what the stock bulls are doing or the stock bears are doing against crypto because it has a lot of crypto holdings. But
right.
yeah, other than that, to be honest with you, I don't watch many stocks that are crypto related. I just go to the actual itself.
Okay. And I got a question here. Do you invest in NFTs?
I don't.
Yeah.
to me, to me, NFTs have a value of zero. So I do not invest in NFTs. I can't put them on my books. I can't put them anywhere. They're valued at zero. I did buy a little bit of meme coins the last couple of weeks. I was just kind of dabbling into that world where people are like huge in meme coins. Unfortunately, I bought a coin that I will not say the name of. I invested a little bit of money. It went up like 10 times. Okay. I took out my initial investment, so I didn't lose any money. But then that whole amount that was up 10 times in a matter of 3 days literally went to zero. And I was just asleep. And I woke up one day and it was zero. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that's it. So I tried to go for that $100 million play. I tried to get rich off of a couple of $100. It didn't work. So I just do it for fun. It's like roulette. Other than that, like, what are you going to get buying a coin called crocodile or dog or like whatever they may be called? I mean, you're really not getting anything. And once people become bored of it, the minute that they're bored of it and the community doesn't want to push it any longer, they sell against you. It's like you selling against your friends. If it's like a meme coin that's not like large capitalization. That's actually to loop back. It's kind of like GTech. The shareholders of GTech trade against each other, unfortunately, because there's such a small market cap. When you
Right.
sell, it's like you're selling your buddy. And when you're buying, it's like you're buying to increase your buddy's holdings because there might be like not so many investors or holders. It's the
Right.
same exact thing in meme coins, right? So only thing that can really move them is a catalyst. and NFTs or whatever you may call them. So I am not invested. No, I'm not a fan. And I tell anybody, if you put your money in there, expect it to go to zero, just like mine did.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. You know, I couldn't tell you how many white papers for cryptos that I've looked at, and people and I read their stuff, and it's like, look, your coin doesn't do anything. You know, it
Doesn't do
doesn't
anything.
serve any purpose other than
Zero.
trying to make you, the person who founded this, you know, some money. And so many of them are just pyramid schemes almost. And it just kind of drives me crazy. You know, you and I have looked at some that have real, you know, in theory have real teeth because they have a real business behind them, but it's just
Yeah.
really rare to see that. I do like some of the things I'm seeing out there in real estate right now where people are doing, you know, coins or NFTs where they're, you know, they're doing fractionalized real estate using crypto, and it's a security. It's really a security, but they're just making an alternative way really to finance real estate that
Yeah.
typically is outside the United States.
Oh,
And it,
David, you and I looked at tokenization, what, 4 years ago? 3, 4 years
yeah.
ago? I
Oh,
know.
I'm involved in a really big project right now, 1,000 units in Atlanta. So,
Beautiful.
and I've got the platform, everything.
Good stuff.
So we'll see how that plays out. And
Good stuff.
uh, you know, I don't know if I would call the artists that make NFTs untalented artists. Some of the stuff's pretty damn creative. And you know, Adib and I have a friend who at one point offered to let us take a family portrait painted by a famous artist and created an NFT. I don't even remember who the artist was. If it was like Andy Warhol
It was something that's like 150 years old or something.
or maybe it was Picasso. It was somebody
Something.
really
Yeah,
famous, you
but
know,
honestly,
and
I don't even know if that guy has it.
I don't know. It was kind of a wild deal when he brought it up. I was just like, whoa, you know, that's a pretty big deal to have had that guy do your family portrait.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, well, folks, we appreciate everybody watching today. We got lots of people watching live, and good show today. We had a little bit of audio problems, but we'll get that cleared up in the future. It's just kind of a
Yeah.
matter of time. Um, and you know, once again, we're thankful for everybody who watches, and tune in again next week and see what we got to cover. Similar stocks, but if you have suggestions, please leave a comment. If you watch the recording of this, you can put one. We'll catch the comments later on, and we can add it to our show next week. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks, David.